The controversy surrounding national politics doesn't seem to die down as main opposition CPN-UML has moved the top court objecting to the process that was adopted to appoint the Chief Minister in Kosi Province. The UML has called the use of the vote of provincial speaker a blatant disregard of the constitution. Likewise, in another political development, the main opposition is trying to exert more pressure on the Prime Minister, calling for his resignation pertaining to the PM's remarks surrounding initiatives taken by Sardar Pritam Singh for his appointment as country's chief executive. Good evening, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan and these are the headlines of the hour. UML files a writ at the Supreme Court raising the issue of the government formation in Kosi Province, demand government formation by the largest party. The government has spent 10 years counting the number of families under poverty line. A budget worth 1.5 billion rupees is spent, ID card being distributed instead of relief assistance. Properties worth billions of rupees in the name of Nepal Trust fails to be well utilized, not used in education, health and tourism in the absence of policies. Team Nepal returns home after participating at the ICC World Cup Global Qualifiers. Skipper Rohit Paudel says the team will build on the experience. CPN-UML has filed a writ at the Supreme Court terming the formation of the government in Kosi Province unconstitutional. With the claim of politicizing the neutral role of the Province Assembly Speaker and violating the constitutional and legal provisions, CPN-UML's Provincial Assembly leader Hikmat Kumar Karki has filed a writ. Karki has filed a writ through Pawan Kumar Nirola of Kathmandu Metropolis, Ward number 29, against Kosi Governor Parsuram Khapung, Chief Minister Uddhav Thapa and Province Speaker Baburam Gautam, terming the formation of the province government through Sub-Article 2 of Article 168 of the Constitution unconstitutional. CPN-UML has demanded for formation of the government under Sub-Article 3 of Article 168. The writ has mentioned that ensuring justice would take time and has therefore demanded not allowing Thapa to operate in the capacity of Chief Minister. UML Chief Whip of Kosi Provincial Assembly, Revati Raman Bhandari, has said that they had to move the Supreme Court against the breach of Constitution during formation of the new government. Hearing on the writ has been slated for 9th of July, next Sunday. Newly appointed Kosi Province Chief Minister Uddhav Thapa has been administered the oath of office and secrecy. Chief Minister Thapa has also expanded the province cabinet. Province Governor Parsuram Khapung administered the oath of office and secrecy of Thapa today. Assuming office, Chief Minister Thapa stressed on making Kosi Province independent and creating a conducive environment for investment. Chief Minister Thapa has also appointed Kamal Jabegu of CPN Unified Socialist and Pradeep Sunar of Nepali Congress as ministers without portfolios. Meanwhile, CPN Mao Center did not send any of its members in the government because of internal dispute. Thapa was elected to the Province Assembly as the proportionate candidate of Nepali Congress. Jabegu was directly elected from Pastar, while Sunar was directly elected from Okaldunga. Poverty is a global issue. Government introduces several programs to uplift their citizens from poverty. Nepal has also been organizing different programs to alleviate poverty in the country. More than 1.5 billion rupees has been spent in the past decade to identify poor families in the country. However, the census of the poor is yet to conclude in 28 districts. Instead of alleviating poverty, the government is busy in distributing the identity cards for those under the poverty line. The Constitution has included poverty alleviation under the jurisdiction of all three tiers of the government. 2 decades ago, with the aid of the World Bank, the government had formed the Poverty Alleviation Fund. In the 15 years of its establishment, the fund invested 13.37 billion rupees through 30,288 community organizations in 62 districts. The fund, chaired by Prime Minister, provided loans at 10% for cattle rearing, agriculture and other skills-related activities. Despite the claim of the fund that 988,000 families were directly benefited, the entity was scrapped 5 years ago after the end of foreign aid because of increase in institutional corruption. The role of the fund has now been assigned to the Ministry of Land Management, Cooperatives and Poverty Alleviation. The government has introduced several programs for poverty alleviation similar to Biseswar with the poor. A total of 180 million rupees is allocated under the program each year. However, instead of prioritizing poverty alleviation, the government is engaged in distribution of identity cards for the poor. Those under the poverty line have been categorized into three groups of very poor, average poor and normal poor, and identity cards are issued to them on the same basis. Those under the very poor category are issued a red card. Those in the average poor receive a yellow card and the normal poor receive a blue card. Subsidies, including insurance packages, are provided on the basis of the color of the card. However, former ministers themselves agree that distribution of cards simply does not alleviate poverty. The government has already spent 250 million rupees this year alone for distribution of identity cards to the poor, while prior to this, the fund had spent 1,619,200,000 rupees. Nepal, listed as the least developed country for the past 50 years, is making an effort to graduate to a higher rank in 2026. We also have another responsibility of following the Sustainable Development Goal 2030 implemented by the United Nations from 2016 for alleviating poverty. Meeting of the House of Representatives scheduled for today has been postponed by issuing a notice after the political parties failed to reach a consensus on clearing obstructions created by the statement of Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal. Main opposition CPNUML had obstructed the House of Representatives on Tuesday, demanding resignation of Prime Minister Dahal for his controversial statement. Following the obstruction, the House meeting was called for 3 p.m. today. However, a consensus was not reached at the meeting of consultation committee called by Speaker Devraj Ghimire, following which the Parliament meeting has been postponed till Sunday. Meanwhile, meeting of the National Assembly was obstructed for the third day today because of the obstruction of UML members immediately after the beginning of the meeting with the demand of resignation of Prime Minister Dahal. The next meeting of the National Assembly has been called for 11:30 a.m. on Sunday. Hearing on the several writs filed at the Supreme Court in relation to the Lalita Niwas land scam of Balwatar is to be held simultaneously. Joint bench of Supreme Court Justices Ananda Mohan Bhattrai and Hari Prasad Puyal have ordered for the joint presentation of all the writs in the case. The court has also ordered the defendants to be informed about the writs. Sudhir Kumar Shah, Dharma Prasad Gautam and Min Bahadur Gurung, arrested by the Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police for their alleged involvement in the case, had registered writs with demand of their release. Prior to this, another writ was filed against the Supreme Court's interim order against the arrest of 17 others alleged of involvement in the scam. 22 years have gone by since the massacre of the family of erstwhile King Birendra. Many were curious about the properties of Birendra and his family members following the royal massacre of June 1, 2001. The Nepal Trust was established after Nepal became a federal republic nation in 2008, which started recording the assets of Birendra and his family members for conservation purpose. However, the trust has not been able to bring billions of properties under its ownership and use for public benefits. Nearly 21,634 rupees of land of late King Birendra is now under the ownership of the trust. The trust also holds tens of millions in cash and shares of different companies. The trust can rent these properties and generate revenue, which should then be invested in education, health and tourism sectors as per the law. In the absence of a proper working procedure and plans, assets worth tens of millions of rupees of the trust are being used by a few businesses for a very low rental amount. After a long dispute and legal procedure, the Kathmandu Metropolis has rented the Kathmandu Plaza at a monthly rent of 6,050,000 rupees. Thamserku Trading has rented the Darbar Mall of Darbar Marg at an annual fee of 45 million rupees. Gokarna Forest Resort was drawn into controversies for renewal of contract with the existing term yet to expire. In such a scenario, the government has only expressed commitment of ensuring proper use of land of the Nepal Trust. 15,101 rupees of land of Birendra and his family members in Dhading have been brought under the trust. The trust also now has the control of 4,513 ropenis in Kathmandu, 767 ropenis in Chitwan, 457 in Surkhet and 240 ropenis in Nuwakot. Assets located in Dhankuta, Kaski, Bhaktapur, Sindhupalchok and Makwanpur district have also been transferred to the trust, while some more pieces of land are yet to be transferred. Meanwhile, 1,262,263 shares of Nabil Bank have also been transferred to the trust, among others. However, in the absence of a clear work plan of the trust, the properties have remained frozen at banks. Experts are of the opinion that such assets must be invested by formulating projects that can increase the revenue of the country. And now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it texts us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
And let's take a look at a response to yesterday's question. And yesterday we had asked you, why has the government's announcement of developing a new city been stranded? 7% voted for option A, lack of budget. 84% voted for option B, planning without study. And 9% voted for option C, local obstruction. And here is our today's question. Why has the government program on the poverty alleviation not been effective? Our options are option A, no identity of the poor. Option B, lack of good governance. And option C, dwindling entrepreneurship skill. And the voting is on. Type in AWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And in our Public Voice segment today, we have asked what should be done to enhance the academic standards of community schools. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
Public Voice.
भौतिक संरचना बलियो बनाउनु पर्यो
चाहे त्यो निजी विद्यालय होस् चाहे त्यो नेपाल सरकारको विद्यालय होस् त्यो शिक्षा भनेको समान हुनुपर्छ
म्यानेजमेन्ट नै राम्रो छैन सबभन्दा पहिला कुरा बुकहरु कपीको फ्यासिलिटी हुनुपर्छ जुन गभर्नमेन्टबाट आउँछ
क्वालिफाइड टिचरहरु चाहिँ राख्नुपर्छ
आफ्नो विद्यार्थीले कस्तो पढिरहेछ स्कुलमा गएर अभिभावकहरुलाई पनि सरहरुलाई पनि भन्नु पर्यो
शिक्षण गर्ने अवस्था सुधार भएको छ कि छैन भनेर चाहिँ स्थानीय सरकारले यसको लागि चाहिँ निरीक्षण गर्नु पर्यो
राजनीतिक मुक्त शिक्षकहरु हुनु पर्यो
इंग्लिशमा पढाउन सक्ने त्यस्तो टिचर राख्नु पर्छ
अभिभावक शिक्षा दिन एकदम जरुरी देखिन्छ
विद्यार्थीको भविष्यलाई हेर्नुपर्छ
शिक्षक र अभिभावकको बीचमा समन्वय काम गर्नु उत्तम हुन्छ
प्र्याक्टिकल नलेजहरु चाहिँ धेरै दिनुपर्छ क्वालिफाइड टिचरहरु ल्याउनु पर्छ
शिक्षक र अभिभावकको ठूलो योगदान हुन्छ
राजनीतिक क्षेत्र हुनु भएन
शिक्षकलाई एक खालको चाहिँ अपडेट ट्रेनिङको आवश्यक पर्छ
Sports News.
Team Nepal had reached Zimbabwe with the objective of making it to the Super 6 stage of the ICC ODI World Cup global qualifiers. That dream, however, did not materialize. After finishing 8th, the team arrived home today and have realized the lack of preparation before taking on test nations. Skipper Rohit Paudel did not seem satisfied with the team's performance but has shared the team's confidence on qualifying for the next World Cup. Performance of Team Nepal at the World Cricket League 2 and ACC Men's Premier Cup had the fans dreaming of a World Cup qualification. Despite crashing out from the group stage, Nepal's performance at the global qualifiers was satisfactory. Team Nepal played test nations for the first time in one-day internationals. Despite suffering defeats against Zimbabwe, West Indies and the Netherlands, Nepal secured a win over the United States of America. Nepal won against the United Arab Emirates in the playoffs but lost to Ireland and finished 8th in the tournament. Despite skipper Rohit not happy with his performance, coach Monty Desai appreciated his leadership role. Team Nepal were alleged of struggling with short balls throughout the tournament. Fielding was another department where the performance failed to meet expectations. However, the partnership between Kusal Bhurtel and Asif Sheikh against Zimbabwe, along with the performance of Sandeep Lamichhane and Gulshan Jha against Ireland and the bowling of Karan Casey were defined as the highlights by coach Desai. Players of the squad definitely were provided with a precious learning opportunity while playing test nations. The opportunity has further enthused the young players of the team. Team Nepal will now feature in the ACC Emerging Teams Asia Cup in Sri Lanka, which begins on 14th of July. However, spinner Lamichhane and all-rounder Dipendra Singh Airi are set to miss the tournament as they will play in the Franchise League Global T20 Canada. Those were our latest headlines. Up next is News in Nepali. Good night.